You know what nobody tells you about divorce? Sometimes it's the smartest financial move you'll ever make. My name's Cassandra, I'm 44, and 2 years ago I walked away from my marriage with the best deal of my life. See, I was married to this guy Vincent for 21 years. He's in healthcare, pulls in serious money, the whole 9 yards. When we split, I got lifetime alimony, plus I stayed on his health insurance. Not too shabby for someone who spent 2 decades raising 4 kids while he built his career. Vincent works constantly, 70-hour weeks, always on call, always stressed about some crisis at work. During our marriage, I basically felt like a single mom anyway. He'd miss family dinners, skip the kids' games, cancel date nights because of emergencies. At least now I get the financial benefits without dealing with his workaholic drama. The kids live with me most of the time. Child support arrives like clockwork, and I picked up this easy administrative job that keeps me busy without overwhelming me. Honestly, I'm happier now than I was for most of my marriage. No more tiptoeing around Vincent's schedule or pretending I'm fine with coming last behind his job. I've got my own space, my freedom, and a pretty sweet financial setup that would take a complete idiot to mess with. About 10 months after my divorce was final, I met Kyle through mutual friends. He's 39, works in social services, and he's basically everything Vincent never was. Where Vincent lived on his phone and talked nonstop about work, Kyle actually listens when I speak. He's figured out this crazy concept called work-life balance. Imagine that. Kyle does all those little things Vincent stopped doing years ago. Brings me coffee when I'm stressed, remembers details from conversations, actually wants to spend time together instead of treating our relationship like another obligation. The sex is incredible too, which is refreshing after years of Vincent being too exhausted for intimacy more than once a month. We keep things relaxed, which works for both of us. Kyle doesn't push about meeting my kids immediately or rushing into anything serious. Plus, his nonprofit salary isn't exactly healthcare money, so it makes sense to keep our finances separate. I handle my expenses, he handles his, and everything flows smoothly. What I love most about Kyle is how present he is. When we're together, I'm not competing with his phone or his stress about work deadlines. He asks about my day and actually cares about my answers. It's amazing what a difference that makes after being married to someone who treated conversations like interruptions. Kyle makes me feel young again. We'll decide to catch a late movie, or he'll surprise me with takeout from that Indian place I mentioned liking. Vincent was always too serious, too focused on responsibilities. Kyle knows how to have actual fun, how to be spontaneous without scheduling it 3 weeks in advance. The only weird thing is how Kyle sometimes comments on my situation with Vincent. Nothing jealous exactly, but he'll say stuff like, "Must be nice having that security," or "Wish I had someone covering my bills." I get that it might seem unfair from his angle, but it's not like I'm getting something for nothing. I earned that alimony by giving up my entire career to support Vincent's dreams. About 8 months into dating Kyle, I had a pregnancy scare that terrified us both. I'm 44 with 4 kids already. Starting over with a baby is literally my worst nightmare. But Kyle's reaction caught me off guard. Instead of relief when the test came back negative, he got all philosophical about our relationship. Suddenly, he's having these deep talks about what we're building together, whether we're serious or just having fun. He starts mentioning how, if we're going to be sexually active regularly, maybe we should live together like real partners instead of dating like college kids. I tried explaining that moving in together could mess with my alimony, but he didn't seem to grasp why that mattered. Kyle began bringing up relationship escalation constantly, officially meeting my kids, spending holidays together, maybe eventually moving in. And I'm thinking, slow your roll there. I've been divorced 2 years, I'm finally stable, and I'm not about to rush into anything that could jeopardize my financial security. Here's the thing Kyle didn't understand. His salary is decent for what he does, but it's nowhere near enough to support me and 4 kids if my alimony disappeared. Moving in with him would definitely raise flags with the court system. They'd see that as me receiving support from another source, which could reduce or eliminate what Vincent pays. I tried explaining this practical reality, but Kyle took it personally. He thought I was saying he wasn't successful enough, which wasn't my point at all. I was just being smart about protecting my kids and myself. But Kyle started making comments about how I seemed more committed to Vincent's money than to our actual relationship. Then one random Tuesday night, Kyle completely blindsided me with a proposal. We're sitting on my couch after dinner, and suddenly he's pulling out this ring, talking about building a real life together, how he loves me, wants to help raise my kids, all this romantic stuff that honestly freaked me out. I had to turn him down. I tried being gentle, explaining that it wasn't about my feelings, it was about reality. If I remarry, everything stops. No more alimony, no more health insurance, and I'd be completely dependent on Kyle's nonprofit income to support a family of 6. That's not realistic. That's financial suicide. Kyle didn't handle rejection well. He said I was choosing money over love, which is such bullshit. It's not about choosing money over love. It's about choosing security over fantasy. I have responsibilities that go way beyond my personal happiness. I kept trying to make him understand this wasn't personal, but Kyle couldn't get past feeling rejected. He started making these passive-aggressive digs about my priorities, suggesting maybe I should get back with Vincent if money was all I cared about. It was so unfair. Vincent and I divorced for real reasons. And being smart about the financial settlement doesn't mean I want that marriage back. Things got tense between us fast. Kyle stopped calling as much, acted distant during our time together, and I could feel him pulling away emotionally. Every conversation somehow circled back to the proposal and my rejection, like he was stuck on repeat. Kyle started comparing our relationship to my marriage with Vincent, which was completely inappropriate. He'd make comments like, "Vincent was obviously worth the sacrifice," or, "Maybe you need to figure out what you actually want." Like he was trying to guilt me for being practical about my finances. After 2 months of this passive-aggressive bullshit, Kyle gave me an ultimatum. Either we get married and take the next step, or we should stop wasting each other's time. When I explained again why marriage wasn't an option, he ended things. Just like that, 8 months gone because he couldn't understand basic financial planning. Maybe it was better this way. If Kyle couldn't support my need for stability, then he obviously wasn't the right guy. I need someone who gets that love doesn't pay mortgages and romantic gestures don't cover college tuition. 4 months after Kyle and I broke up, Vincent dropped a bomb that completely destroyed my world. He called to announce he's getting remarried. Remarried! To some young nurse from his work, who probably thinks his 70-hour weeks make him dedicated instead of absent. I couldn't process what I was hearing. This is the same man who told me he hated marriage, that it wasn't cost-effective to remarry just to get me off his health insurance. But apparently those principles evaporate when you meet Miss Perfect, who doesn't complain about never seeing your husband. This news obliterated my financial situation completely. The court order clearly states that both alimony and health benefits end if either Vincent or I remarries. 21 years of marriage, 4 kids. I sacrificed my entire career for his success, and now I'm getting screwed because he found someone who appreciates his workaholic tendencies. I called Vincent hoping to negotiate something, maybe delay the wedding until I could adjust, but he was actually smug about it. He said maybe now I'd understand what it felt like having your financial future decided by someone else's romantic choices. The audacity. Like I chose to divorce him and destroy his bank account. I was an excellent wife to Vincent. I managed his household, raised his children, supported his career ambitions, made it possible for him to work those insane hours by handling everything domestic. This is how he repays my sacrifice, by replacing me with some young nurse who thinks his absence makes him mysterious. The timeline is brutal. Vincent's marrying her in 10 weeks, which gives me exactly 10 weeks to figure out how to replace income I'm about to lose. My part-time administrative position barely covers gas and groceries. It was never meant to be primary income. Meanwhile, Kyle moved on immediately. I heard through friends he's dating someone from his office, some social worker, who apparently understands his values and lifestyle. Everyone keeps saying I should have accepted his proposal when I had the chance, that I created this mess by prioritizing money over love. But they don't understand my position. I was being responsible, protecting my children and myself. How could I predict Vincent would actually find someone willing to marry his absent ass? Kyle expected me to sacrifice everything on hope that his nonprofit salary could support 6 people. That's not love. That's stupidity. 8 months later, my entire existence has imploded. I had to find full-time work just to survive, and I'm paying marketplace health insurance that costs more than my old car payment. My oldest is looking at colleges, and I have zero idea how to help with tuition without alimony income. Vincent posts constantly on social media about his new wife doing family activities with my kids. Apparently she's amazing with them, and doesn't mind his late nights because she understands his important work. It's like watching someone else live in the life I built, except she gets the upgraded version of Vincent, who somehow learned work-life balance. Kyle has completely moved on, posting pictures with his new girlfriend at places we used to visit together. She looks carefree and happy, probably because she doesn't have 4 kids and a vindictive ex-husband complicating everything. Must be wonderful making romantic decisions without considering practical consequences. What really infuriates me is how everyone treats this like I caused my own downfall. Like I was wrong wanting financial security after sacrificing my career for family. Vincent gets his fairy tale with his young wife, Kyle gets to play victim rejected by a materialistic woman, and I'm painted as the villain who chose money over love. But what about my sacrifices? The career I abandoned, opportunities I missed, 21 years building someone else's life? I refuse to take blame for this disaster. I made the smartest decisions possible with available information. Vincent found someone who enables his workaholic habits. Kyle found someone without complications. Good for them. But I won't pretend I was wrong trying to protect my children's financial future. If that makes me the villain in their stories, fine. At least I know I tried being smart about it, even if nobody else appreciates that. The real kicker? I'm worse off now than if I'd just stayed married to Vincent in the first place. At least then I'd have health insurance and wouldn't be scrambling to pay bills on a single income. Sometimes being smart backfires spectacularly, and apparently, this is one of those times. But I still don't regret protecting myself when I had the chance. Kyle wasn't offering real security. He was offering romantic idealism funded by hope and good intentions. Vincent's new wife gets to benefit from all the groundwork I laid in training him to be a better husband. And me? I get to start over at 44 with nothing to show for 2 decades of marriage, except 4 kids and a whole lot of bitterness. Everyone can judge my choices all they want. I know what I was trying to accomplish, and it made perfect sense at the time. It's not my fault Vincent found someone willing to accept his flaws, or that Kyle couldn't handle dating a woman with real responsibilities. I played the hand I was dealt the best way I knew how, and if that wasn't good enough for everyone else, that's their problem, not mine.